Hello and welcome. This is Sergio Morero, and we're here with another episode of RBL1 Live. We have a great guest today, Maria Toler Velissaris. She's the founding partner of SteelSky Ventures. Thanks for joining us, Maria.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, so Maria's been hard to get, and we're super excited to have her today. I want to share a little bit of her background for those that may not know. She's a graduate of Wake Forest University. She also got her MBA at the Stern School of Business. She's been a founder herself of a startup, but also for the last several years has been working on SteelSky Ventures. That is a fund that has $72 million AUM. So we're excited to dive in today, focused on women's health, and looking forward to hearing more about that. So to turn it over to you, Maria, if you want to share with the audience, what is SteelSky Ventures?
SteelSky Ventures is the most awesome fund that you'll ever hear about. Now, SteelSky Ventures, we're investing in amazing companies that improve access, care, and outcomes in women's healthcare. So we invest across the spectrum from digital health, consumer health, diagnostic, medical devices, anything that can contribute to making the lives of women better. And so far, we've invested in 17 amazing companies, and we are excited about the trajectory of women's healthcare and that we're able to be a pioneering part of it.
Amazing. And can you share a little bit more of what types of founders you look for, and what type of founders should reach out to you should they be in the women's health space?
So number one, you have to be nice. We get to invest in whoever we want, and we have the luxury of deciding who we talk to and who we pick up the phone for and who we support. And we want to be happy. We want to be excited to talk to the person on the other end of the line when they call with a problem. When you're working with a founder, you're going to go up through lots of ups and downs in the life cycle of running their company. So we want to make sure that these are people that we like to talk to and like to be around and are nice and generally kind people. Number two, we want to make sure that people are honest and transparent. There's a lot of things, again, that happen in the course of building a company or a fund, but we want to make sure that we can help you work through those difficult problems. So you have to have trust in us, and we have to have trust in you, and that comes through radical transparency. And number three, we like to look for founders who are able to troubleshoot and problem solve. We are happy to help you do that, but we love a founder who says, you know what, this didn't work out, much more so than one who tries to smooth and sugarcoat everything over. I like them to say, these are the three things that worked, and these are the two things that really didn't work, and this is what we're going to work on going forward. And I think that that's, again, goes to transparency, but also troubleshooting, acknowledging, and I think that's also courageous leadership, that you have the ability to articulate when you fail, articulate when you need more help. And I think that us as investors, we really value that. And so we're looking for founders who are adaptable, flexible, transparent, trustworthy, and nice.
Love it. Love it. Are there any particular sectors or geographies that are within focus for you?
So we're investing all across the U.S. We'll also look at some med device companies out of Israel. But for this first fund, we're trying to focus on the U.S. because that's where our networks are. And we want to make sure that we are able to provide a lot of post-deal support. And so investing in the U.S. allows us the ability to do that. Some of the sectors that we invest in are maternal health. We invest in fertility. We invest in, diagnostics. We invested in a menopause company. That space is really interesting right now. Starting to get a lot of more interesting companies popping up around the menopause space because there's still a lack and a desperate need for people entering into menopause. We're also looking at a lot of behavioral health. So we just invested in a virtual clinic that's provide psychiatry services for children and families. Right now, it takes on average 6 to 12 months to get your child in to see a psychiatrist. 6 to 12 months. This company is able to do it in less than 2 weeks. And so those are the types of companies we're investing in. It doesn't have to be a new and novel idea. It could be a good idea and you're improving on something that already exists. So those are some of the areas we're really excited about right now. Also looking at a really interesting food as medicine company. I think that now with the changing of some of the laws, and food as medicine will be covered by insurance starting in California. It's already approved, but maybe rolling out nationally. So being able to get healthy meals covered by insurance, I think, is a really interesting opportunity that we're going to see more of going forward.
That's great. Are there, and I want to shift to talking about, Maria, and hearing more of your story. How did you go from, entering the venture space? I know you were a founder in the health and beauty space, and then shifting to starting a fund focused on women's health. If you could share that story of what inspired, what inspired you to start the fund.
Well, my first business was in college. I started a logistics company with a friend. It was a shipping and storage company for college students called College Boxes. And so we had started at our schools and then expanded to over, 50 schools by the time I graduated. And it went on to become the largest in the nation. And U-Haul is still running it today, with my same logo from 2000 when I made it, clip art. So anyway, so that was really my first foray into entrepreneurship. We were, pretty successful, but I knew I had a lot to learn as a 19-year-old. So spent the next 17 years in operating roles, from consulting to working in brand management to working in a branding agency, working internationally. And I really just wanted to become the best operator so that I could really understand how to hire across the different business segments and understand like the key metrics that were needed. And so that's why I went to NYU to get a finance degree. I went to Kraft to do marketing. I did a stint at Siegel and Gale doing, branding, went to Samsung to understand how to work cross-culturally in South Korea, and Philips in Amsterdam. So I really had this kind of whirlwind operations experience so that I could really learn, and then settled down and helped a dermatologist in New York scale. So when I met him, he had, a handful of clinics, and then I really was able to help, brand the company, create culture, and then understand how we would scale. And that's when I really started to fall in love with healthcare. Managing over 100 doctors, that's a feat. And all of the, things that go along with that, managing the products that they sold, managing the medical devices. So I got to get exposure to all of that, and it really got me interested in healthcare and medicine. And so I wanted to learn how to invest in other companies like ours. I had a lot of exposure to the investors in our company, and that really got me excited to understand how to be on the other side of the table rather than the table asking for money. What does it take to actually write a check to someone? And so I started spending more time with our investors, and then I joined an angel group so that I could learn how to invest. That was their advice. If you want to learn how to invest, start small. Join an angel group, start writing small checks, understand your thesis, understand how these things play out, and then, that you can start an investing career. And that's what I did. So I had invested in female social entrepreneurs, about 7 of them, and then 5 of them were in women's health. And I just started seeing these amazing founders innovating in women's health, and nobody was really investing in them or even taking meetings. And I thought it was ridiculous. I'd see these amazing teams from these really renowned institutions, top of their field, and they couldn't get a meeting. They couldn't get a meeting, not because their business model was bad. It's because people didn't know what pelvic floor prolapse was. People didn't understand what menopause was, or gestational diabetes. And these are terms that a lot of VCs don't know about, don't care about, and won't invest in. And so I saw this as an opportunity to start a fund that would take meetings with people who are interested in innovating in women's health, who will talk about stigmatized products and services that others won't. And that's when I started SteelSky. So in 2020, launched the fund right in the middle of the pandemic, raised it entirely over Zoom, and have a wonderful group of LPs that supported and believed in us and our team and our thesis, and 17 amazing portfolio companies who have joined the SteelSky family.
Amazing. And when you're thinking about women's health and building a platform, right? What are the things that you all feel you need to do differently or do better, right, than just the average VC that's going to write a check?
Yeah, well, we have to get IPOs, we have to get exits, we have to get acquisitions, because this has been done before, right? We're pioneering and we're saying there's a market here. We're saying that we believe this is a vertical that deserves investment, but we have to show results. And so that's really, you know, us and all of the other women's health funds out there, the handful that there are, we're making a bet on this that a lot of people didn't bet on. And so we have to make sure that this works out so that people don't stop investing in the whole category. So we are really, you know, sticklers, and we're, you know, and the types of companies that we invest in, because it's not only important for our portfolio, but what we're doing has a microscope under it for the world, right? So being the largest women's health fund, people want to see how it performs, to see if this is a space that they should continue to ignore or that they should throw dollars into. So we feel the gravity of that. And so we take it very seriously. So each investment that we make, we really want to believe, we really have high conviction that these companies can show outsized returns, because it's not only important for us, but it's important for the entire industry as a whole.
Excellent. And I mean, you shared how you prepared to be an investor. When did you have the idea? When was that aha moment of saying, I want to start my own fund?
So after investing as an angel, I wanted to get more involved. I started angel investing full time and managing syndicates for my angel group. And I wanted to be more involved with the companies. But as an angel, you know, there was only so much leverage you could have as a small check in a syndicate within another syndicate. And so I really wanted to be able to have the companies, you know, answer my calls. I wanted them to, I thought I had a lot to offer more than a check. And so in order to do that, I needed to develop an ecosystem. I needed a team. I needed to show the founders that I had the support that could really help them and get them to the next level. And so that's when I decided I was ready to start a fund. And also, pre-pandemic, I was investing in things that I thought was healthcare 2.0. I said, okay, maybe one day in the future, people will finally adopt telemedicine. Maybe remote monitoring will be a thing. Then 2020 hit, all my angel investments took off, because that was literally the only way for people to engage with the healthcare system, through telemedicine, through remote monitoring tracking, through direct to consumer, you know, contraceptive and things, because we couldn't get into hospitals. So that really cemented my thesis and my confidence that I had landed on an opportunity that really did have legs and that could grow into something much bigger. And so at that time, my angel checkbook was dwindling. So I figured I needed to get some other people's money. And I thought that, you know, people would be on board if you could see how big this opportunity is, how overlooked it's been. You know, when I started the fund, there was under $1 billion that had ever been invested into women's healthcare. Only 20% of VC funds had ever invested in a women's healthcare company. And so there was just so much opportunity. It seemed really interesting to me. So what I tried to do was join a women's health fund. So I'm looking, there weren't any. And that's when I knew I needed to start my own.
Excellent. And it came, what we're, and I'm sure being, you know, like kind of paving the path wasn't easy. What's you know, if you want to share, what were some of the challenges that you faced in getting started?
Well, some of the same challenges that female founders face, right? They don't know what they're making, so they don't know what I'm investing in. So, but I think people were generally curious about women's health and why it was necessary. Some people thought it was sexist of me to be focusing on women, but what they didn't realize, that women have been overlooked for so long. People aren't investing in women's health, not because it's not needed, it's just because, you know, over 90% of VCs are men, and it's just not top of mind, and it's not fun. People like to invest in crypto and, you know, all those fun things, and talking about incontinence and vaginal dryness just doesn't, you know, excite people. But for the women that are suffering, they're paying a lot of money for solutions, and we want to make money and we want to give people solutions. And so we found a way that, you know, we'd be able to do both. I think it was challenging convincing mostly male LPs that this was going to be something. It was great to finally find people that resonate. And now I know how to better triage the types of pitches that we do, because I understand who we resonate with and who we don't. And I think that's a big part of any fundraise, whether you're raising for a company or raising for a fund, is to understand who's in your corner, who gets it, because trying to convince people who don't, I just thought that was futile effort. And so I want to go with people who want to go with me. We're going to make a lot of money with or without you, and we're happy to have you on the train. But if this isn't for you, then I'm sure there's one behind me that would be a better fit.
Oh, amazing. And we, of course we need more Marias, but what else do you think that does the ecosystem need in order to better support more innovation in women's health? What are things that or things you think that are, yeah, I'll pause there and let you, what can we do to accelerate innovation in that space?
Number one, there needs to be more female investors. More female investors are going to deploy into more women's health companies. It's just fact. We've seen the data and the numbers. And then male investors also need to have an open mind and to understand the revenue opportunities that they're missing out on, and have an open mind. Let your female associate speak up. She knows what the challenges that these companies are starting to solve. Don't go home and ask your wife. Ask the financial professionals there that work with you, because that's one thing we get all the time is like, oh, well, I'll go ask my wife if this is really an issue or if this is really a thing. And I said, do you ask your wife about other investments decisions? Why would you ask her about this? But I just think that really being open-minded, listening, hearing people out. I think we'll start to see a lot of new faces from founders pop up. And that's across gender lines and also across ethnicities. I think that's really the next frontier is, especially in healthcare. COVID uncovered a lot of just, inconsistencies in our healthcare system. It uncovered a lot of prejudice. We can see that in the data and the numbers of who was most affected and who was dying the most of COVID. So I think there's a new generation of not only women who are creating better products for women, but also people of different ethnicities that are creating solutions for their communities. And I think who better to create solutions for ethnic communities than people from those communities who understand it best. So I'm really excited about that, seeing, different types of founders in the space, funding different types of companies by diverse people.
Great. And for particularly for in with some of the current market shifts, what particularly, like now that, and what I mean by that is, COVID, there was a big focus on telemedicine, still, a transition. Now people are going, back in person, and there's a new normal per se. What are some of the new trends that you're looking at that you think are particularly exciting at this time?
There's a lot of fun and exciting things going on now. I mean, the market has softened, but we're still seeing a lot of activity in the earlier stages. A lot of founders are still powering on. We're seeing a lot in diagnostics, so that's really interesting, especially at home diagnostics. I think, post-COVID, people are really thinking about staying out of the hospitals, and so we're seeing a lot of hospital at home solutions. So how do we do cardiac rehab at home? How do we give lactation consulting at home, because they can't do that in the hospitals? How do we care for women over 40 who are out of reproductive age that still need care, that are not a part of the health system anymore? And so it's really thinking about how do we engage in this new landscape? How do we engage with healthcare? How do we engage with that across gender, across ethnicity, across disease state? And so that's something that's getting us really exciting. Also post-COVID, depression has really increased. There's been a lot of focus on mental health. And so mental health is a space that we're really bullish on. We've invested in a psychiatry clinic. I talked about that, but we're really excited about that. We're also, excited just really about the innovation that continues to happen in women's health. There's things popping up every day that I didn't, even think about. Like, I just got off the phone with somebody, pitching something, about maternal nutrition and telling, talking about how that is such a huge driver of better outcomes in maternal health, and how she's created an app to help moms like on day one so they don't get gestational diabetes and all of these things. And I think that there's just a lot of ideas out there, and a lot of, especially women, building because now they have a voice and they can be heard, and there's people like us who are willing to take the call, willing to take the pitch and listen.
It's great. I know we're coming up on time, but wanted to shift to you and ask you to share what's next for SteelSky Ventures.
Well, SteelSky Ventures, like I said, we've invested in 17 companies. We'll probably invest in about 5 more out of this fund. And then we're already looking to fund 2. You know, there's no lack of innovation going on, as I've mentioned, and we are so excited to continue to back founders and to use our amazing LP base of healthcare strategics, banks, and amazing family offices that are mission aligned to help us on this mission to invest in the future of women's healthcare.
All right. Well, thank you, Maria, for joining us tonight. For everyone watching, this was RBL1 Live. And check out SteelSky Ventures. The link is in the live stream notes. And thanks again. This was great. So take care, Maria.